Hello, everybody. A very, very warm welcome to the 19th, I think, edition of the Reiki Revolution Live. It's so exciting to be here. It's so exciting to have you all here. And I can see quite a few people are already lined up, have already joined, and I'm sure there'll be more over the next few minutes. And it's going to be really, really interesting. I spent most of the day going through the results and analytics of our Reiki survey. And it's just so interesting what we can learn from these amazing answers. Let me just have a look. I need to just switch between various buttons tonight to make sure that everything is working properly. So hello, everybody. So wonderful having you all here. Hi, Venetia. Thank you very, very much for joining and for helping and what's it called? Managing in the background. If there's anything untoward going on. It's just great having you all here. It's a real community that we are having. My my apologies, I've got a slight cold, but it's on its way out. So I may just moderating, that's the word. Moderating is Venetia in the background. Thank you, Venetia, for doing that. And yeah, it's just great having you all here and really forming this community. And particularly knowing that so many people are joining at a later stage, are watching the replays, and it is a bigger and bigger community that we are creating through this. Today is going to be kind of switching between different questions, between different topics, all to do with Reiki, and understanding or getting a bigger picture of how Reiki can change people's lives when they learn it. And let's just make sure that a few more people, there's more and more people joining, so that's great. It's going to be really interesting. I was just fascinating, and I must say that I didn't expect this to be so vast and so time consuming. So even though I went through in the end every single question today to go through the analytics, we will probably only manage to go through about half this evening and then do some more at a later stage. It's just so interesting what we can learn from them. And from occasionally I'm hearing some beeps, so I hope I have managed to get that sorted. And I think we are all there now. So let's just have a look. The Reiki survey, how did Reiki change your life? Was a survey that we were running for about 3 weeks. And the main ways to reach people were through direct emails to people who have personally trained with me at the Reiki Academy London, the Reiki Science Academy, or the online courses with me or with Rupert Fawcett at the Reiki Academy, or through Reiki Race, this amazing platform where people come from all over the world to gain more information, to find more community with regards to Reiki. So we had these two ways. Then again, we didn't directly do it over or via Reiki Race, but over the last 5-6 years, they regularly promoted live and free free master classes with me about Reiki and Reiki research. And so many people signed up for these master classes, and by doing so, they signed up for my mailing list. Overall, we had a reach of about 19,000 people, plus some people who just looked at the website and decided to use the link there. And out of that, over 1,000 people have joined and filled in the survey. 1,084 people. And this is amazing. Not just that it's a very big number, but also it's I need to try that again, a statistically significant number. If you have 5 or 10 people and you, whatever, approach them after a course, asking them for some feedback, they will probably give a very positive feedback, but it is not really representative of the vast majority of people. Whilst these people that we reached came from all walks of life, and the majority of them did not train with me. So we've got really broad spectrum of people who filled in the survey, which makes it really, really interesting. Also, what's really important when we look at this, there was no pressure whatsoever. Even if I asked people and sent emails saying, hey, not individual emails, but little reminders asking people whether they have already completed the survey or whether, apologies, it's still my slide code, whether they completed the survey or whether they wouldn't mind doing it over the next few days or so. I could never and I cannot trace back any answers. So everything was completely anonymized. And this is vital for a scientific research project. Otherwise, of course, people will very likely say what they expect me to want to gain from the survey. And of course, it's very clear that I wanted to gain something, or we wanted to gain something. Because whenever we speak with people about their life before and after Reiki, the vast, vast majority say it changed. It changed for the better, and they give examples, they talk about their lives, they are just full of amazement and excitement about how Reiki changed their life. So the idea was to somehow get data for that and to make that measurable and verify that and put that kind of into a perspective of how many people would say that Reiki really changed their lives. So of course, the idea was that probably a good number of people would say, yes, it really had a very, very positive effect learning Reiki. But the sheer percentages in the end are just absolutely mind-blowing. And they will be on our website very soon. So today is just an overview. So everybody can use them and say, this is what Reiki is doing. And therefore, we hopefully gain more and more and more people who learn Reiki. Because this is my intuition or my experience. Reiki can be incredibly helpful and beneficial when we get a Reiki treatment. But the huge life-changing effects tends to come when we start using it ourselves, when we learn Reiki. And this is the whole idea, to get more people to actually learn Reiki, to get the Reiki revolution going and reach more and more people in the world. So that was the idea behind. There was some feedback about the questions being quite what's the word? Not very broad. So it was most of the questions were, would you say this about Reiki? Did the Reiki do this for your life? Yes or no? And I'm very aware as a scientist that we can get so much more into fine-tuning all this. We can differentiate much, much more. But there were two ideas behind that. First of all, I sat together with a number of Reiki masters and Reiki teachers and asked them what people generally say about how Reiki changed their lives. And we tried to put that into like statements to see how many people would say, yes, I would make the statement or not. Like Reiki changed my life in a really positive way is what a lot of people would say. So we said, did Reiki change your life in a positive way? Yes or no? So we basically used feedback that we already got from the people who we know who learned Reiki and who talk about Reiki and how it changed their lives. We also learn from other surveys, which sometimes are very, very long. And there is something like survey fatigue setting in at some stage. And often when it goes beyond 5, 10 minutes or even more, not everybody, sometimes only a third or so, finish all questions. And this then makes it really, really difficult to measure everything. So we tried to get everything into 3 minutes. In the end, it didn't completely work out. It was more kind of 4 minutes, but I think most people took about 3.5 minutes or so to complete the survey. So it was very doable. And we also wanted to ask questions about a wide range of topics. So this is why it is rather short and simple questions that we put in there. Just to give you the kind of background and our thought process, because that, of course, is very much part of scientific a scientific approach to explain why we do things, why we do a research project in a particular way. But given it was anonymized, given that we are clear about the channels, how to reach people, given that there are different answers, and we asked some very kind of particular questions in the beginning to make sure that people had actually learned Reiki. All this makes it a proper scientific research. And so we can use the data and other people can use the data, and hopefully it will really lead to a deeper understanding of what Reiki can do. Now, let me see. I have uploaded loads of images. And when I click on these images, there's like a small banner somewhere in the middle. So you probably see some of my shirt and some of the top of my head. And my videographer said, you can change that. But he was away today and he didn't explain how to do it. So I wasn't able to. But doesn't really matter, hopefully, because the content, of course, is the same. So we used SurveyMonkey as a platform. And this is worldwide recognized as a very, very decent platform, by far the biggest in the world for surveys, and it's used by many commercial enterprises as well. Just talking about that, recently I was on the London Underground, London subway, and there was a sign, I think it was a hair product, something like that. And it said 9 out of 10 women would recommend this product because of, and then there was given some reason. And then it turned out there was like a small, like the small print underneath, and it said, we tested, I don't know what it was, 120 people or 150 people or something like that. So this data was even used in advertising, but it is a relatively small number. And at the moment, there's a lot going on in politics, well, worldwide, but also in the UK. And of course, there are lots of surveys and polls. And it's interesting to look at the numbers there. So matching our number of 1,084 people with what's commonly used in even political polls and surveys is a very, very good number. And this is just, it's incredible. It's just so exciting. We will eventually do more surveys. We will fine tune it and give a number of options to answer the questions. But this is basically the starting point. And let me just go through what we have here. So the first question was, what is your gender? And I don't know how important this is, but I find it very interesting. And I've got the exact figures here. So 0.8% didn't want to say. So out of 1,081 people answering that question, that's 9 people. So it's pretty much negligent. 130 people are male, 942 female. So that's 12% male and 88% female. And that's just interesting. It generally shows roughly the numbers we have in our courses in London. I don't know about courses elsewhere, but given that these figures are from all over the world, I would probably think that that's roughly the figure. So it's about 10 to 15% male and 85 or so up to 90% female Reiki students. And that's very interesting what it means. It may have some impact on how we structure courses. It may also have an impact on how we, in the future, structure or market Reiki courses to get more men on board. Otherwise, I feel a bit lost. But it's interesting. It may have to do with jobs. It's not clear what it is, but it's just interesting to find that out. Then the next question was, have you trained in Reiki? So of course we reached people who volunteered to join a Reiki mailing list. So it's quite likely that they have actually trained in Reiki. But of course, we wanted to be absolutely certain that that they have. And let me just add the figure. So 1,080 people responded to that question. So almost everybody. And 6% said yes, they trained up to level 1. And 29%, over 29, said they trained up to level 2, and 65% said they trained up to the Reiki Master level. So everything we are looking at, 2/3 of the questions are or 2/3 of the answers are given by Reiki Masters. They may all have trained in different ways. They may not all teach, but that's really, really interesting because what turns out is that people are excited about Reiki. So I would conclude from that people who are excited at some stage do more, at least go on from Reiki 1 to Reiki 2, and then many eventually to a master training as well. So that was a very, very interesting outcome. The next question was, did you train in a Reiki lineage that goes back to Mikao Usui? And this is not to say anything negative about other healing traditions, but generally for research reasons and in hospitals, it is Usui Reiki is the only accepted Reiki. So what we did was we wanted to make sure that people know I have a lineage that goes back to Mikao Usui. And 95% of people, the big column on the left, said yes, they trained in a lineage that goes back to Mikao Usui. It may well be that they trained in other types of Reiki or developments of Reiki as well. But 95% said they trained in a lineage going back to Mikao Usui. 1% said no. So again, that is really statistically not very relevant. And less than 4% said they are not sure. So they're probably not given a lineage. Maybe they didn't know what the word lineage meant. So there are lots of kind of considerations we need to keep in mind for future research projects. Or it may well be that, that it was a combination of Usui Reiki and something else. But then the vast, vast majority of people trained in Usui Reiki. We just wanted to know whether people have trained with me or at the Reiki Academy London or the Reiki Science Academy. Again, for us to find out about how to categorize the answers. And 28% said yes, 72% somewhere else. So it's not a result of the training we do at the Reiki Academy, but general Reiki training in the lineage of Mikao Usui. And I think that is really, really important and makes it even more relevant. Then the first question was, has Reiki improved your physical health? And the idea behind that was so many people get a Reiki treatment because they are struggling with a physical ailment. So many people learn Reiki because they have a chronic illness, or they had surgery, or somebody around them has a problem. So the idea of Reiki as a complementary therapy to be used for, well, to support physical healing is very, very important. And this is why it became the first question: has Reiki improved your physical health? And sometimes, of course, people have one problem and another problem, and they would say, well, yes, it worked on one. I really clearly felt benefits, but I'm not so sure on the other. So this is why we structured this slightly differently and said, has Reiki improved your physical health? And you could say yes, slightly, or yes, greatly, or no. And 8.5%, so that's 92 out of 1,074 answering that question, 10 skipped it, 8.5% said no. almost 46% said yes, slightly, and almost 46% said yes, greatly. That's 491 each. So almost 92% of over 1,000 people who trained in Reiki say Reiki slightly or vastly improved their physical health. And this is an outrageous number. It's just unbelievable. If we look at pharmaceutical research for new medication, as far as I'm aware, the benchmark is if it helps over 50%, if it improves condition in over 50% of people, then it is a very, very good outcome. So 92% is surreal. And this is a figure we can really work with. The next question was just moving slightly more detailed into this idea of physical healing. If you were on prescription medication, were you able to reduce the dosage since you started using Reiki for yourself? And the majority of people say it is not applicable. In other words, they were not when they started learning Reiki on prescription medication. So that's 63%. 18%, almost 19% said no, they kept the prescription, and 18% said yes. So it's almost 50-50. So when we take the people where it wasn't applicable out of the equation, it means that almost 50% of people who were on prescribed medication were able to reduce their medication after they started learning Reiki. And this now comes with a very, very big disclaimer, because that is absolutely not what we are supposed to do as Reiki practitioners, to tell people, to tell our clients or our students to reduce their medication. But what we can do is to suggest, to monitor their medication and to see whether they may not need as much. Of course, working very closely together with their physicians. But given that almost 50% say they could reduce medication, this again is phenomenal. It shows very clear data to back up the anecdotes that we tend to get, that people who are on pain medication often can reduce it. This is absolutely no suggestion to say I'm learning Reiki and then I'm changing my medication. But once we do, we become also more aware of our body often. And so we just need to monitor what's going on. And it is an amazing side effect or direct effect of Reiki that this is possible. The next question then moves to the second big part of what Reiki does: mental health, a more positive outlook of life, a more spiritual understanding. more acceptance, various aspects that we are all so aware of when we use Reiki, that Reiki brings so many changes. So we try to differentiate as much as we could, and again, very clear, concise questions so that people could easily say yes or no. I appreciate that we didn't often give the answer yes a bit more, something like from 1 to 10 or something like that. We will fine tune that in the future, but people had the choice of either saying yes or no, or to skip the question, and some people did. So it's clear that that this worked. So that we just had that. Has Reiki improved your mental well-being? 95.5% say yes. I just love these columns. They are just so clear. And just above the green column on the left, the 100% is reached. So it's just so graphic how it shows, so clear that it is overwhelming. 95.5% said yes, Reiki has improved my mental well-being, and 4.5% said no, it hasn't. This is absolutely incredible. And I know that from so many personal stories from people who were using medication, often had complete mental breakdowns, were clinically depressed, that Reiki was very, very beneficial. Again, it doesn't say it's guaranteed that it changes everything completely, but it improves our condition. It improves where we are in life. And the struggles we have in the outer world clearly also have an effect on our inner well-being. So at some stage, the vast majority of people at some stage in their lives are going through a time where they are struggling with their mental health. And to realize that 95.5% of people in the survey say Reiki helped them with this is just unbelievable. It's so beautifully reassuring. So if somebody comes to us and say, well, I'm struggling with this and I'm really feeling quite down at the moment, do you think Reiki can help? You can either wholeheartedly say, yes, I'm very certain that Reiki may help you with that, or you can say, there was a survey recently and 95.5% said yes, it helped them. So this is really what the data allow us to do. The next question is now fine-tuning that a little bit. Did your stress levels improve after learning Reiki? 92% say yes, and 8% say no. So 92% of people who've learned Reiki, of the well over 1,000 people, say Reiki reduced their stress levels. And of course, stress is the start of everything. In the majority, as far as I'm aware, at least in the majority of cancer research or courses for cancer I have seen, stress is a very, very significant factor. So it's not just our mental health, it is our physical health as well. Then we go a little bit further into the causes of stress. And of course, this is very clearly connected with the Reiki principles. Would you say you are less worried since learning Reiki? And this, let me just see, is question number 10. So it's there. Would you say that you are less worried since learning Reiki? And 85% say yes, 15% say no. I find that really interesting because I find life often very difficult. And my initial reaction in many, many cases is that I'm getting worried. And for me, this is all going back to this traumatic experience that eventually, ultimately led to me learning Reiki, and that was my bankruptcy. And of course, as soon as there is a struggle financially, if there is a drop of in numbers of students booking, if there are some technical changes on the website, and then people can't book for a while or something like that, I'm getting worried straight away. So I know how difficult it is to say, no, I'm not getting worried. But the question was, are you getting less worried? And I would say, yes, I am getting less worried using Reiki. When I'm starting getting worried, I give Reiki to myself, I give Reiki to the situation, and it definitely helps. So of course, this already shows that we can really go more into the details in the future, but still, it's an extraordinary number. 85% of people, here it is again, 85% of people said, yes, I'm getting less worried since learning Reiki. And then we move to the next Reiki principle, or the actual first Reiki principle. Would you say that you are getting less angry since learning Reiki? And again, 85.5% say, yes, I am getting less angry. 14.5% say, no, it didn't make a difference. But again, it's a very, very significant number. And of course, we are getting angry. It's normal. And we're getting rightfully angry when we look at the state of the world, the state of the country we are in, the state of the environment, the many misunderstandings, when we are misunderstood, when what we have arranged or expected is not happening, then of course we do feel getting angry. But we may have other ways of dealing with this. And this is just very, very significant. So I'm now verging onto the getting worried, because I'm just noticing that I'm running out of battery of my laptop. So if you will excuse me for about 5 seconds while I try to find a way to plug that in, and then I'll be right back. You may find that I'm slightly worse lit afterwards, because I need to switch off a lamp, but we'll just see. So just wait for me for 5 seconds, please. Okay, I'm back. Slightly darker. I hope that's okay. Let's just see if I can move this lamp a little bit closer. Otherwise, maybe it's not the worst that can happen, that I'm slightly more in the darkness. So I'm back now. Thank you. Thank you for waiting. And thank you. This is just brilliant. This is just so Reiki. The connections of everything. Thank you for being so understanding, because that is the next question. Do you feel you have more understanding for other people since you learned Reiki? And 92% say yes. Since I learned Reiki, I have more understanding for other people, and less than 8% say no. This again is quite extraordinary. It's just amazing. Reiki brings this connection. And of course, this is the basis of making the world a better place. Having more understanding for other people. So if 92% of people who learn Reiki say, yes, I have more understanding for other people, probably more interest in other people, taking some more time to realize what they're up to, where they're coming from, trying to see their viewpoints, being more open, being more respectful, being more tolerant. This makes the world a better place. So it really shows how amazing Reiki is as a tool to achieve these things? So we have reached question 2 out of 32. So we're going just on for a few more minutes, and then we are moving into using Reiki, sharing Reiki, and experiencing the mind-blowing power of ourselves once again, and over a few more sessions, not just one after the other, but in the future, we'll have a look at some more of the results. Would you say that your life has changed in a more positive direction? You may have taken part in the survey, you may not, perfectly fine. But just listen inside for a moment and ask this question to yourself. Has my life changed in a more positive direction since I learned Reiki? Well, 95% of the responders in the survey say yes, and 5% say no. This is a pretty amazing number. And of course, I mean, it's unbelievable number. But of course, I'm just terrible. I always wonder, so what about the 5%? Why did they not say yes? But of course, we may go through difficult times in our lives. And we may have a hard time. And Reiki may be very helpful for us. We may use it during a time of illness. We may use it for other people. And this may have a very positive effect. But still, we may still feel that life continues to be also difficult for a while. So it doesn't mean that Reiki doesn't work. It means that overall, some people would say it hasn't really changed in a positive direction. Or in a more positive direction, it kind of stayed the same. But of course, it doesn't mean that they can use Reiki and they are using Reiki, because there are some really, really interesting answers that are about to come up as well. Do you find Reiki helps you coping with everyday life? Again, 93% of people say yes. With my normal everyday life, Reiki is very, very beneficial, and 7% say no, it didn't make much of a difference. But that means that Reiki is not just a complementary therapy. Reiki is not just something that we learn and then use in certain situations or illnesses. It is something that we use in everyday life, and it has an effect on our everyday life. And again, this is really, really interesting and a fascinating consideration. And finally, would you say that your quality of life has improved since learning Reiki? And 90% of people say yes, and less than 10% say no. So people say, my life is better. The quality of my life has improved since I learned Reiki. Again, these are just unbelievable numbers. We need to always consider that somebody who learned Reiki and felt it didn't make too much of a difference probably wouldn't have signed up to my mailing lists, wouldn't have been on the mailing list of Reiki Race or used the website. So it is people who feel the effects of Reiki and use Reiki, and those answer the question. So this is something that we need to keep in mind. And still, it is an amazing result, an absolutely amazing result. There are some more questions about spirituality that are fascinating, about the quality of life and friends and family, and going more into more aspects, individual aspects of Reiki. And we will have a look at that at a later stage. But there is one thing hopefully I can find that. I believe it's question 29. So let's just scroll down there. This for me was the most unexpected. And just try to find that again. Sorry that I have to go through I've got everything here as well printed out so that I find things, at least that was the idea, find things a little bit easier here. And the question is, would you recommend learning Reiki to other people? And we differentiated there a little bit more. So you could answer yes, you could answer to some, or you could answer no. And out of 1,081 people who answered this specific question, 3 skipped that question. 9 people out of 1,081 said they would not recommend it. That is 0.8%. Everybody else, over 99% of the people who took part in the survey, who learned Reiki, said, yes, I would recommend Reiki, learning Reiki to other people. 78% said they would recommend it generally, and 21% said they would recommend it to some people. So only less than 1% would not recommend learning Reiki to other people. Isn't that incredible? It really shows how we all know very, very deeply the importance of Reiki and how much we wish for other people to learn Reiki as well. So there's an incredible future in Reiki. And this future is going to be a revolution because it needs to have a huge impact on the world. I mean, why else are we doing all this? We want to make the world a better place. For ourselves, we want to create a happier, healthier, and more meaningful life, and for other people to find exactly the same, to go beyond the boundaries, to realize the connection. So this is the first half of this presentation, but it is already mind-blowing, isn't it? It's just so incredible. And I'm now switching back to some comments, and it's just lovely to see that and to look at the comments. Deborah is commenting that just putting it in there. Considering what we have experienced during the past few years, I feel the results of the mental health questions are significant. Yes, absolutely. It's just so important. And another comment is Reiki is the ultimate tool for peace. And this is really what I strongly believe. Peace is connection. Our connection to, well, our inner self, our deeper self, our connection to the universe and to other people. This is the foundation of peace, and Reiki can really help us on this way. So it's just incredible what all this brings. So thank you for your comments, and thank you for joining, and thank you so much for now joining in with the Reiki Share. Reiki is to be used for ourselves and for others. But there is a very special quality about receiving Reiki from other people. And being able to do that in the same session, giving Reiki to others and receiving is amazing. So it really goes in all directions. We are connecting to the universe. We feel Reiki. We open up. We share that with other people, and we get it through other people to us as well. So it is a whole web of healing that we are now immersing in for the last 15 minutes of this YouTube show. And the amazing thing is, and I'm getting the comments again and again, it works not just for people who are live currently here in the morning from America, or at lunchtime in the evening from Europe, or somewhere in the middle of the night in Asia. But those who watch the replay and who take part later, they also can feel Reiki. And we very likely feel their Reiki as well. It is beyond time and space. It's truly surreal. It's a new reality, or not a new, it's a deeper reality. The reality where everything is connected. So when you're ready, I would like to invite you to bring your hands together in Gasho and connect to Reiki. And really take a moment feeling the connection, feeling Reiki, and then set your intention that you are now connecting with everybody joining in this Reiki share, whether it's live now or at a later stage. If you've learned the distant or connection symbol, then just take a moment to draw this and utilize that. Otherwise, just use your intention. And then just let Reiki flow. Just take a moment to sense inside so that you can really feel that you are receiving Reiki from everyone in this Reiki share, as well as you sending Reiki. Sometimes when I give or receive Reiki, I just tell my subconscious to just relax and open up. Just let go of any blockages and feel the gentle power of Reiki. If you are struggling with any problems, being it mental or physical problems, just set your intention that Reiki may help you with this. And of course, the effect of using Reiki, of Reiki treatment, of opening to Reiki are carrying on. So even though we'll be ending this Reiki share in a moment, this will carry on working on our cells, in our body, in our being. So just bring your hands then gently back together and take a moment to thank Reiki, thank the universe for this Reiki share. And just as I opened my eyes, I still have the comments here. I saw this most beautiful comment that I really would love to share. My 4 dogs have surrounded me and are enjoying receiving this Reiki. So thank you. We had 4 dogs, at least 4, we know of, taking part in the Reiki share as well. How beautiful is that? So thank you for joining tonight. Thank you for watching the replays at a later stage. There will be another episode, not the next one, but later on in a few weeks, going into more questions of the survey and this incredible surprise. We had one open question. Everything was, are you this or are you that? Yes or no, and so on. Oh, there was one thing I completely forgot. It was about the age, which of course was open as well. So people just put their age in, and almost everybody did. The youngest person, just from scrolling up and down, seems to be 23 who took part, and the oldest 99, unless that was a joke. then it would have been 86. But a huge age range, and very, very few people in their 20s. That's really interesting. 6 people out of 1,084 were in their 20s, but then it's relatively evenly spread: 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. So it's really all across the board in terms of age, only that people seem to learn Reiki slightly later. So not necessarily as teenagers or in the early 20s, but later on in life, which is interesting. So it may also say something about how we can teach Reiki in the future, and maybe make some adjustments on the courses and structures and approaches to reach more younger people. Or maybe it is very much when we get stuck at some stage, when we have problems in our lives, that then suddenly we realize there must be something else, and then we find Reiki, and Reiki starts helping us as well. But the main open question was at the very, very end. Do you have any other comment on how Reiki changed your lives? Almost half, over 500 people decided to answer that question, and many didn't just write a sentence, but a whole paragraph. So this will take quite some time to go through all this, but we can learn so much from all these different approaches and experiences. It's incredible. It's so inspirational. So this and the second part, the other 15 questions, will be part of a broadcast in a few weeks' time. And in the meantime, we've got amazing people, amazing guests lined up for the next weeks as well. So it's not just me presenting something. It really is supposed to be a combination. Sometimes it's just me working on a certain topic, and often it's amazing guests, and there are some really, really fascinating people lined up for the next months. So I look forward to seeing you then again. And until then, have a wonderful evening, morning, rest of the day, wherever you are in the world. And I look probably a bit lost again, because I somehow need to find a button. There it is. It says ending. And this is what I need to press now. And then we'll end the broadcast for today. So thank you so much again for joining. It's been amazing.